Gentlemen, it's what I do to kiss women I get paid.
They're worse gigs to have, man.
That's kind of cool.
Welcome back to Dallas. Thank you very much for coming out to Dallas Comic Con Fan Days.
It's good to be here. Why is it so dark?
Well, they had to show.
Why are you saying that? But can they turn the lights up now? Really?
No.
There you go. Thank you. See, I'm like that. I just ask.
The great thing about the work that you've done, I mean, people would kill in acting to be able to be known for one character. You've been really lucky where you've had 3 or 4 really good signature roles over the course of your career, and you're not even close to stopping. Tell me what you were just talking about the last year you've had, just running around.
No, it's been busy. I just finished a movie in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's called Rodeo Girl. It's a very nice family movie. It's sort of a modern-day Western. And I shot a movie in Nashville earlier this year called The Secret Handshake. It's a very funny comedy. It was written by Howie Klausner. He directed it. If you don't know Howie, you know his work. He's written a lot of different things, but I think he's best known for Space Cowboys with Clint Eastwood and James Garner and Tommy Lee Jones. Really good movie. And I started a movie called Caged down in Baton Rouge in November. I'll be there 3 weeks shooting that, and we shoot the second part of it early next year, 2 weeks in Greece. I know, tough duty. And it's a pretty heavy subject matter, though. It's a trilogy. It's a 3-part movie, and it deals with human trafficking. It deals with teenage girls that have been kidnapped across this country. People have no idea how many, hundreds of thousands of kids have been transported over to Europe and different places for the sex trade and stuff. It's pretty pathetic. And I'm playing 2 characters, and I asked my age, and I said, do I get paid for 2 characters? And they said no. I said, really? Oh well. But and I just sold a pilot to the Hallmark Channel, very nice TV series. We're going to shoot in Vancouver. And it's called Can't Get Arrested. For the older people out there like me, there was a show that Bruce Willis did years ago called Moonlighting. With Sybil Shepherd, and it's that kind of thing. It's a romantic drama action, and we're going to shoot the pilot. So hopefully in May, you guys check out the Hallmark Channel. Everybody watches it. We'll get picked up for a TV series. So we'll see what happens.
Slacker.
Staying busy. I know. We're doing lots of speaking engagements too. My book has still been doing really well, and because of the power of a little movie I did called God's Not Dead this year. I hope some people watch it. Thank you. I got to brag a little bit about it because it's the #1 movie, dollar for dollar in Hollywood this year. It was a $2 million movie and it's made over $100 million worldwide. And then you look at movies like that cost $250 million, like Lone Ranger, that lost $170 million. So I feel pretty cool. Quality. We didn't have Johnny Depp, but we still did pretty well. So it's really cool. But I'd say that there's a market out there. You look at TV shows like Touched by an Angel and Highway to Heaven, Seventh Heaven. Those shows all had 10, 11, 12 years. There's people out there who want product like that. They want stuff that is good family viewing, and they're kind of showing that. Son of God did very well. Heaven's Real did really well, and Noah didn't do very well. But that was Transformers meets Waterworld. So I think Hollywood, they figured out that maybe next time we do a faith-based movie, we shouldn't hire an atheist to direct it. They did. It's very strange.
And you were out for a while promoting God's Not Dead. It's normally a junket series. You do 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, where you do some satellite interviews, you hit the coast.
We did a lot of radio stuff. I did a lot of radio stuff at home too. I was in radio interviews from 5 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. Try doing that sticking on the phone. For that, and then probably doing, about 5 interviews, 10 minutes basically each with each radio station across the country. But, it's part of the business, you gotta do it, and I just make a game out of it. You have to do it. So.
Do you have little catchphrases that you try to throw into the
No, actually, it's on my computer. I'm doing work on it while I'm talking to people. So, did you just send an email? No, I don't know what that was. It's in my office, but something is weird.
Let's talk a little bit, you just said you're selling a pilot to Hallmark. Let's talk a little bit about the pilot process for Hercules and the Incredible Journeys, because it wasn't just one pilot. It was a series of movies. And did you even know at that point that it was going to be going to series, or was the idea with Taggart and them to do the movies and see where it goes?
Yeah, I mean, I knew when I got called in for it. It's interesting, a little backstory to that, because in God's Not Dead, Dean Cain is in that movie with me. Dean does a little cameo in there. And you've got Superman and Hercules in the same movie, and God's Not Dead, and we're both just dicks. I just remember this guy's kind of joked about that. But it got down to Dean and I for the part of, for Clark Kent, and for Superman, and Lois and Clark. And we both did our screen test with Terry Hatcher, and they called me that night and said I got the part. And I just went out with my agent manager, we celebrated, we were all excited, we got a big network TV show. 24 hours later, they called me back and said, now they're going to go Dean. So welcome to the highs and lows of what Hollywood can do to you. But 3 months later, I got Hercules, and my show in 7 years became the most watched show in the world, and the show got canned after 3 years. So I let Dean know that all the time. And he had to shoot 3 years in LA, and I got 7 years in New Zealand, so I think I came up better on that too. But yeah, they put me through the ringer. It was 7 auditions they put me through. They kept calling me back, and it was always a different group of guys and stuff. And when I got down to the final audition for it, I was up against like 3 other guys, and I walked in there, and each time the studio, it was at Universal Studios on the lot, they had more and more people from, more suits and stuff from the studio. And you get in there, there's probably about 30 people in the room, about 10 women, about 20 guys. And Sam Raimi was in there, of course, and Rob Tapper, who are our exec producers. And I just said, why do you guys keep calling me in here? You don't tell me, you don't give me any insights, you don't give me any direction, it's always the same. And I said, what do I got to do to you? I mean, I said, well, we really like you, but we just wanted to see you one more time. And then one of the female executives said, they've nominated me to ask you this, but would you mind taking your shirt off? And I'm back like I'm a high school weight now. I'm about 210 now. I weighed 220 at the time, 225. I got up to 235 when I did the show, so I was pretty beefy back then. So I took my shirt off, and you could hear, oh. Because when you're unemployed, you work out a lot as an actor. You take your aggression out. I lived in Santa Monica. Gold's Gym was my second home, and I biked or rollerblade every day down to Hermosa Beach. So I was always working out. And when they said that, I went, well, I'm a lot bigger when my shirt's off. So a lot bigger out of my clothes. And then Sam Raimi says, he goes, because I got a little man cover, I'm not overly hairy, but I just, he said, would you shave your chest, and if you got the role? And I looked at Sam Raimi and said, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted a man for this role. So, from what I understood from the execs, that's kind of a lot of the reasons why I got the part, because they liked the humor. Because Michael Hurst and I, a lot of stuff you guys liked about Hercules, Michael and I just ad-libbed that stuff at the end of the scenes. We just threw stuff out there. But it was 5 2-hour movies. It was part of an action-packed thing. Universal wanted to copy what they did back in the 70s with McCloud, McMillan and Wife, Columbo, and stuff like that. And but I knew by the second movie that it was going to get picked up for a series. Nobody told me. But Michael and I said, Michael, we got such great Butch, Sundance sort of thing going on here. I think they're going to like it. And by the third movie, they said, yeah, it's going to be a series. And then at the end of season 2, that's when we spun up Xena. At the end of season 5, Xena spun up into season 3, I'm sorry, and then Young Hercules was season 5, but that got canned after 1 year. I don't know if anybody can remember Young Hercules, but that was Ryan Gosling playing me as a teenager. And I took him out to dinner the night the show got canceled. He was all bummed out and depressed. He was like 20 years old then. And I said, Ryan, you're a good actor, you'll do fine. He doesn't want to.
If you take credit for Hey Girl, then we're
oh man.
We've got mics for audience questions as well. There's one other question I've had. When you started reading for, and I know I'm jumping around because there's going to be a lot of questions for both series. When you started reading for Andromeda, and it was such a departure from what you were doing with Hercules, but it still had that feel, it still had your personality in it. Was that a role that was more tailored for you, or was that something where it was another audition?
At the end, it was like 3 months left to season 7 on Hercules, and Universal was sort of approaching to maybe do seasons 8, 9, and 10 in the series. But while they're thinking and hemming and hawing about it, I got a call from Major Roddenberry, Gene Roddenberry's widow. I remember Nurse Chapel with the turbo boobs in the Star Trek series. And you know, I was a kid, but I knew I'd have no problem with my sexual identity. And she called me up and she said, my husband wrote this show in 1969 when the original Star Trek series finished. And so I didn't read for it, they just offered it flat out to me. And she said, we will match whatever Universal wants to do for seasons 8 and 9, and we'll match that dollar for dollar and do it pay or play. If you don't know what pay or play is, that means it doesn't matter if it gets picked up or not. They got to pay me for 44 episodes. It's kind of a mafia, sort of too good to be true, and offer I can't refuse. And I said, look, I get final say in the actors, I get final edit, I get final say in I mean, they gave me everything I wanted. I was the exec producer on it. And it was a really good learning experience for me too. And I got much better hours. Hercules was brutal. Herc was 18 hours door to door for me. Andromeda, I said, you can shoot me 12 hours door to door. We can get that done. If Clint Eastwood can make Academy Award winning movies shooting 8-hour days, then you don't have to work these 14 to 16 hour days that people, especially young directors think, oh my God, we gotta work 14-hour days. No, you really don't have to, you know, but it's just they feel like they have to. But it was,
with your shooting.
but yeah, but it brought me back to the States, so to speak. I mean, we shot in Vancouver, and which I
America
love.
Light, basically.
What's that?
America Light. Basically.
America Light. Well, Robin Williams, bless his soul, called Canada a loft over a great party. But I tell you what, any Canadians here, I love Vancouver. I mean, I did. Vancouver's fantastic. If you've never been, please go.
Vancouver, and it looks like anywhere.
Well, you know, here's what we did. We did a lot of green screen on Andromeda. Sure. We decided we didn't want to be on Stargate that every planet he goes to looks like British Columbia. So they were all shooting on these beautiful trees. You know, it's like, what planet are we on? I don't know. You know, but it was easier. It was an easier shoot to stay inside. It really was. I mean, Hercules, we shot all over the place, but it was, you know, I missed both shows. I had a blast doing it. And I did a pilot for ABC after that, and they didn't pick it up. They should have. It was a very funny comedy, but they blew it. That was. I could get into it if you want to hear the story, but it was very frustrating. But anyway, we got some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll start over here. We'll go back. No, I guess we only have one. Yeah.
That's Bruce Campbell. Everybody's looking.
I just want to say, on behalf of me and my brother, thank you for being our childhood hero. You are awesome.
Thank you very much. It's very fun.
Also, how did you come across Pool Boy?
If no one saw Pool Boy,
He did.
I tell you what, I'm a big David Zucker fan. I love Airplane, I love Naked Gun, I love all those. I love that kind of ridiculous sophomore humor. It makes me laugh. I'm not politically correct, and that's what I love about it, because he points stuff. Pool Boy was definitely over the top ridiculous, but we laughed every day on set. I did another movie called Meet the Spartans, which was a spoof on 300, and I love doing stuff like that. So I'm doing another one with the same guys that did Pool Boy, and did a cameo on FDR, American Badass. And we're shooting one next year called Helen Keller, Super Secret Agent Spy.
We have to talk about that.
I'm the sidekick for the There may be some her bumping in the doors jokes, I'm sure, but she's certainly the hero in the movie. I'm the one who comes across as the buffoon. You know, but it's very.
Not Helen Keller?
Not Helen Keller.
Okay, fine.
But it's very funny, and Pool Boy was just fun. It was just, you know, it was just so stupid, but it was fun.
And it is out there on Netflix, because I did come
It's
across
awesome.
it. Yeah,
It's
it's a fun flick. It is a fun flick.
There's some
And
very ridiculous stuff.
they're not even reacting to it. It's like, yeah, sure it is. Like, no, trust me. There are worse ways to spend a couple hours. Anything with my okay. Right out here. Oh, you are. Dadgummit.
We were kneeling so people could see.
Very
So you talked about some of the family-friendly movies we did, and we saw a wonderful movie a couple years ago called Soul Surfer, which had a really great cast. That's the movie about the surfer that lost her arm.
Bethany Hamilton.
Absolutely wonderful movie. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about shooting that movie and if you got to meet Bethany, because I know she was in the movie a little bit.
Bethany was on set every single day, and I met Hope, the guy that I played, that was Bethany's father's best friend. And it was, Anna Sophia Robb played Bethany. It was really her movie. She could be in every single scene. So Dennis Quaid and I had 4 days off every week, so we just golfed a lot, which was awesome. My wife and I, we homeschool our kids, so you've never seen kids get the homework done so fast every day, because they gave us this great little 3-bedroom condo that was 50 meters from the water and a beautiful sandy beach. So, we also have, if you finish your work, you can go do other stuff. But boy, they got done. So it was 2 months. That was a busy year for me actually, because I shot that January, February, and I went directly from Hawaii to Malta. It was 24 hours and 3 planes to get to Malta, and I shot a movie there for 2 months. And then I went from Malta to Shreveport. Since we're so close to Shreveport, I got to tell the Shreveport story. So I'm in there, and it was like a Sunday, and I had my 2 boys with me, and we're picking up groceries at Walmart or something. And this couple walks up to me and he goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I don't have elves bring me stuff to my house. I got a shop too." And he goes, "Well, what you're in Shreveport for?" And I said, "Well, we're shooting a movie in Shreveport." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Son, Shreveport's the armpit of America." His wife hits him. She goes, "We live here." He goes, "I know, but it's still the armpit." That was funny. So I shot there for 2 months, and that movie, I hope that movie finally comes out, guys. It's called Julia X, and I liked it because it was the first time other than what I did in God's Not Dead, playing not really nicest guy in the world, but I played a serial killer in this movie. I mean, because I was creepy, and God's Not Dead. First movie I've ever made, I told my mom, I said, "You can't see this one." I said, "It's not going to happen." But I loved doing it, and it got in the courts for the last 3 years because the producer and director hate each other. The producer put the money into it, and it became a creative control thing. And they dragged it, the courts, lawyers, new lawyers there. Okay, we'll talk. And so now it's finally back in control of the producer, thank God. And I've seen the movie. Well, we were at the Austin Film Festival with it, in packed house, and people loved it. It's not really like a slasher thing. There's only 4 people in the whole movie, and it's more of a psychological thriller. My character is just really pretty screwed up, and it was fun and different part for me to do. And I'm hoping now they can finally get this out somehow in the distribution, get it out there, because I thought the guy did a really good job directing it. And then from Shreveport, I went to Mykonos for 2 months. So I was gone 8 months that year.
And that was your busy year, not this last one you just
This year was busy too. Well, yeah. Well, I do it to myself. I must say, I do it to myself. And actually, this movie I just booked, this Cage movie, I booked it for a while, is a 3-parter. So we're shooting the first part, I told you, in Baton Rouge and a little bit in Greece. And then the second one we shoot about 9 months down the road in South Africa, which will be awesome. And I don't know when the third one, where that's going to shoot. But they're trying now. I just got a part on Castle with Nathan. I'm hoping we can work out the schedule because it overlaps for 2 days with this movie, and they're like hemming and hawing now. But I would love to do it because Nathan's a good buddy of mine, and it'd be kind of cool to get him in the show because it's a great show. So we'll see.
Just seeing you guys go back and forth with one-liners, I think that would be
That's probably what's going to happen. Right over here. Yeah.
Now, I saw this TV show called Celebrity Ghost Stories, and you were on it. Now, can you tell us what was it like when you said you saw the ghost of White Rock Lake?
You guys know about this ghost? It's here in town. When I got out of college, I came down. I had a buddy down there playing football at SMU, and I came down there. I signed with the Kim Dawson Agency and did some plays and did some commercials and stuff. But I was a bouncer at a club called Confetti's. It's a hot club in here. There might be some people old enough to remember Confetti's and Lover's Lane in Greenville.
I snuck in a couple times.
And not by me, you didn't.
No, you weren't working that night.
Not by me.
Guys
worked
on
Fridays,
Saturdays.
And at that time, I mean, like, they probably still stay up until 4 o'clock on weekends, right? Let the clubs do that?
No.
Not anymore?
No.
They did at that time. No, they couldn't serve any alcohol after 2.
It was after hours.
But this is still a time when you can smoke in bars. And, oh my God, just reeked. Never been a smoker. And so I would always just take a nice, easy cruise. I was going to be wound up, you're wound up. And I would drive down there to go around White Rock Lake and stuff. And I was driving one day with, it was like 4:30 in the morning with my girlfriend. And we're just walking, we're driving, talking. We're going really slow. And I never heard of the story before, so I had nothing to preset, and we both saw. We saw this woman walking at us on the side of the lake. And we were going very slow. I looked up at her and she had a wedding gown on. And she was soaking wet. And I looked at her, I looked at my girlfriend Tara, and I said, "Do you see that?" And he goes, "Yeah." And we looked at her, and I got like this close to her as I'm driving by, and I looked right at her, and she's looking at me, very sad smile on her face. And she just kind of turned the other way and kept walking. I looked back at my girlfriend and I said, "That was weird." We looked back, gone. Stopped the car. We hadn't gone 20 feet. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. Is true. This happened. Jumped out of the car. We started looking around. There's no way she could have got away. Get back to my apartment, and my roommate Jeff was still up because he was a serious party animal. And I told him about it, and he looked at me and goes, "You saw her?" And I said, "Saw who?" He said, "You saw the ghost, the bride and the ghost of White Rock Lake." I said, "What are you talking about?" He tells me a story, and that just freaked me out. So I did. They called me up and said, "Have you ever seen ghosts?" I said, "I saw something on there." And it just, oh man. And I would go back there and just to look for it. I wanted to have a talk. But I mean, I guess the rumor was she drowned on her wedding day or something on the lake.
I've lived in this town over 40 years and I've never heard this story.
If you go online, it's in the internet. They got a bunch of different things, so you get different points of view on it stuff, but it's out there.
So there's stuff
And
on the
I
internet.
never knew, oh yeah. And you should believe it, because it's the internet. I say one thing and it comes out a completely different word, and then people on Facebook, they attack me. I'm going, "I didn't say that. I said this." But you know, TMZ likes to make things character assassination.
Right over here.
It must be true.
It has to be true.
Hi. I
The
just want to let
president
you
said
know.
it. It has to be true. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to let you know I absolutely love you, but you've done a lot of action.
I love you too. Yes, we don't get to know each other.
You've done a lot of action sequences in all of your movies and shows, and I was curious which one was the most difficult, but most fun to do.
That's easy. It's Hercules. I mean, without Hercules, I wouldn't have the career that I have now. I mean, that show, without the success that had, I wouldn't have led to Andromeda or led to all these movies I've been shooting. And it was a brutal schedule, but I loved it. So I'm gonna sound like I'm complaining. I'm not. I mean, I would get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I would do some stretching. Because I knew everything was a very physical show. We'd get on the set, we would shoot our 12 to 14-hour day, then I would go straight to the gym and lift heavy for 2 hours. Then I'd get home, and then I would study my lines and go to bed at midnight. And I stopped dreaming. I'm sure I kept dreaming, but I would hit the pillow at midnight, boom, and the 4:30 alarm would go off. It was like Andromeda. I was stuck in some sort of, 300 years went by. So, and I would just get up and do it again. And it was brutal, but I mean, at the same time, I was into it. I loved it. I loved being on set. We had so many good people I worked with, so many laughs. Peter Jackson used to come on the set to see how things were going, see how the crew was progressing, because he wrote The Lord of the Rings for 10, 11 years before he even started filming. So he wanted to grab a lot of locals, and when we finished, he took most of my crew to work on Lord of the Rings. Should have booked me. I did a little help down there in New Zealand to get that place going, but that's fine. Whatever, Peter.
You and Elijah.
We had the wedding group, but we had all the guys, Richard Taylor, that was us before him, for crying out loud.
You can have it out with Elijah and Sean when they get here, and you guys can have works.
Sean's a good guy, I know Sean.
Oh, yeah. Did you get your stuntmen's work, as you were building your own stunt repertoire?
Well, we did, we shot 3 fights per episode on Hercules, but the other 6 or 7 days of filming, the stunt guys were always on set with me, and while they're setting up camera shots, we would always rehearse. And, my ego was I want to do this. I was a jock, I played football, basketball, baseball, that kind of stuff, and so my ego was I want to do my own stunts, and I did like 90% of them. And I loved it. I got hurt, but at the same time it was cool, the buzz was fun. This time, I got 12 stunt guys around me. They got to memorize 2 moves each. I got to memorize 24. So there are times when you get in the fight scene when they go, okay, we got speed, all right, and action. And I'll go, oh, what's my first thing I gotta do? Forget, but once it goes, it's like a dance. It is, it's like a dance. And my stunt guys were great. They made me, I was on Letterman one time, he goes, so what's the biggest difference between your character and Kevin Sorbo? And I said, I'm not nearly as brave as Hercules. I'm telling you right now. I got stunt guys that make me look like I'm really good, so.
What was the one gag that the producer said, please don't do this, you said it's fine, and it caused you the most pain?
It's actually, I didn't want to do it, and I didn't want Michael Hurst to do it. It was the Xena trilogy introducing her in season 2 of Hercules, and we had to do the sword fight, and Michael's like, you know, I'm doing rehearsal, and I got this move, I got to do this 360 spin on the ground, and he's supposed to swing at my head. I said, when you're doing stunts, the most important thing you do, if you watch really good guys that do this stuff, they're always looking at where they're going. Their bodies may be this way or that way, but you're always looking to make sure you know where you're going. So we started rehearsing the fight, this one move with this sword. Michael had reached at double swords, and I do this one spin, and I'm down here, and I feel the sword go just on my head, and I said to myself, okay, this ain't gonna work. And then Mike goes, oh, Mike, come on, I'm the New Zealand fencing champion, I know what I'm doing, you know? And I said, no, really, I don't like that move. Because it'll be fine. So the very first take, I'm doing a spin, Michael with the sword, back of the head, boom. I'm on the ground, I wake up in the hospital, knocked me out of a concussion, cut up in the back of my head a bunch of stitches. When you watch the replay, number one, Michael's like this. Total close out. And he hit me with the flat side of the sword. Had he hit me with the blade, I'd probably be dead right now. It'd be a whole freaking Muslim thing going on right here. You know?
How many buckets of roses did he have at your bedside?
He sent me his box, this really bad scotch. I'm sure it's expensive, and I said, I don't drink scotch. I said, give me some, you know, Crown Royal, we'll talk. I like the smooth Canadian stuff. I'm too much of a wuss for that hardcore. But yeah, he nailed me bad. You know, and of course they said, okay, make sure Kevin's on the set the next day anyway. Yeah. But then we switched to lighter aluminum swords because we were playing with swords. They were like, you know, kind of stupid in a way because I chopped up fingers all the time. But it was fun, you know. But that part wasn't fun.
He rolls through all that. That was fun.
It was fun.
Right out over here.
Yes, did you have martial art?
No, bring it up to you. Not up to you. There we go. No, your mouth right there. Yeah. No.
Did you have any martial arts training before Hercules?
When I got this series, I went 2 months. I didn't have anything prior to that. I mean, besides just playing sports. But I had 2 months of heavy training, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, before I moved down there with a guy named Douglas Wong. Douglas was one of Bruce Lee's original students. And he created his own brand. It's called the White Lotus Kung Fu. But he taught me a lot of different stuff. I mean, it was just weapons, it was falling, it was a lot of different moves. It was great. I mean, obviously I was pumped up, and then I was hitting the gym really hard to, you know, beef back up again too, and get bigger, and try to get more. Oh, where you go? Yeah. But it was really good training. It was amazing. It was smart to do it too. And on the set we had just such great stunt guys. I mean, they're all like most of them like 19 to 29, that age group, stuff like that. And one of them, Ben Cook, was one of my favorite stunties. Went on to become Daniel Craig's body double. He does Daniel Craig in all of the James Bond movies. And these guys, I mean, just standing there, I could just do this fake thing, and they would do a 360 flip. You know, I was just like, how do you do that? You know, it's like, but I only hit one stunt guy in all the years. They loved fighting with me because I was a pro with it, and I did it. They got mad at Michael. Michael hit them all the time. They're getting pissed at him. The only guy I ever hit, we had this big fight going on. There was this episode, Prince Hercules. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's actually how I met my wife. It's an episode where Michael Hurst is purple the whole time because he falls in this big vat of grapes. And the whole episode, people are talking about, why are you purple? And finally, when I get to why are you purple, he goes, who cares why I'm purple? And there was this big fight scene going on, and I throw an elbow this way without looking. Well, he's supposed to stop. You know, they got a mark where they're supposed to stop. He came too far over. And I just clipped him. I didn't break his nose, but I came close. I clipped him hard, and he just stepped back. His eyes started watering, and blood started coming down. And he's my fault, Mike. But that was the only time that I ever did anything. But Michael, these guys were always the catch guys. It's only person to get this gun. But, you know, it was so funny. Because Peter Bell was a stunt choreographer, did a great job. And he'd be the one to sit there and say, oh, just hit him, Mike. Just hit him. Just put it in there because they love it. They love it. Don't worry about it. don't like it that much. They want to protect themselves too.
Well, yeah, but then they're playing rugby after the thing's over. It's all right.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, so we're all back here. Okay.
I liked both and Hercules, but I wanted to see if you had any stories that you could share with us about working with Kevin Smith.
Kevin's my golf buddy. It was, if we ever should have recorded anything, it should have been when Kevin Smith and Bruce Campbell golfed with me down there. Because it was just ridiculous. And we really should have filmed it, just for the memory. Kev Smith, for those who don't know, he played Ares and he passed away a couple years after Hercules finished. And an accident on a set in China. He was waiting for a ride actually to fly back home. He was supposed to be in Tears for the Sun, so it was a Bruce Willis movie. In Hawaii, he was supposed to shoot that, but he had 10 days to go back to visit his family. And he was just on a movie set walking around by himself, and literally he walked, and the space on the scaffolding was only about that wide. And it was wide enough, and you just step over it. He just wasn't paying attention. And he stepped between and he fell down 3 floors of scaffolding. And he was in a coma for a long time, for about 2 weeks before he passed. And Michael Hurst would call me every single day back at my home in Henderson, Nevada. And when he told him that he passed, he just wept. I mean, Kev was my guy. He was just such a funny guy. And I call him Monkey Boy golfing because he was such a bad golfer. He was always in the trees. So, and we would miss these shots. He would kick down the fairway and start doing a bunch of push-ups, just to get it. And of course, Bruce Campbell just had some snarky remark for everything on me. Because I'm a decent golfer, and those guys aren't. But it was just fun to get out there with them, because we knew we'd have a lot of laughs and a good time. And I think we should have taped something, because I think you guys would have loved it just watching it. Put in this big clip show for like an hour, just have all the best of.
DVD extra.
DVD extra.
You gotta fill those box sets with something.
It would have been good. People would have got a kick out of it.
Absolutely.
Because Bruce Campbell always, when he was back in the States, because Bruce did probably about a dozen episodes and directed about 5 or 6 of them as well. And he would always call me or send an email down to New Zealand when he was back in his home up in Oregon and say, "This is your only true friend in the Northern Hemisphere, Sorbo. What's going on down here?" So,
from the comfort of his lavender farm.
That's right. But he put me in. I'm a chapter in his book, Chance Good Joe. So I'm in there.
With all of the, you've had an amazing run of characters where you're able to, you've got a serial killer under your belt now, Greek half-god, space captain thought. Is there a role now that you're looking at saying, all right, I've got this checked off the list, this, what do you want to do next? If you produce your own piece, what would it be?
Well, I have a production company for over 6 years now, so I've done some. There is a movie that I'm directing next year. We're looking at next year. It deals with autism. It's called Normal Like Me. It's a really nice script. I would love to do a romantic comedy. I'm a big fan, like When Harry Met Sally. Love that. It's like one of those movies. It's that Casablanca, Jeremiah Johnson. There are certain movies I'm flipping the channel and it's on. I don't care where it's at in the movie. I just start watching it. I just watch the rest of it. So I like the comedy. I like the romantic stuff, and it's fun. I don't say no to action. There's a couple of really great stuff I'm working on right now with the Weta Group down in New Zealand. We've got 2 projects that are just phenomenal, and I got a 3rd one now that I'm going to go with them now. But we have one project called Stuffed, capital letters STUFT, and it's like Muppets on crack. And Richard Taylor loved it right from that. And we got another project called Draven, which I think could be a huge hit.
Is that based off of Crow properties?
No, it's DRAVN, and it deals with serious time travel between an equal balance of superheroes and equal balance of villains. And they can, Genghis Khan can jump to this century right now, and it's the whole balance of good and evil to make sure that the world stays on the right track in a way, because without evil you can't have good, and vice versa. And it's mind-bending, and I've already seen all the artwork for it. Guys, this is just incredible.
Do you have it? Is your production company have a website where you can keep up with this stuff? You said about 6 things where I know everybody's going.
Well, you can go to kevinsorbo.net and it's in there, but that stuff isn't. We're not really posting a lot of that stuff right now. The script is in its early stages, but every time Weta comes into town, we definitely get together. You know, they were in Salt Lake City, down at San Diego Comic-Con, so. But yeah, you know, I like to stay busy. I think, you know, I do it to myself, I know that, and I'm gone a lot, but I don't sit very well, man. I just don't
And is
sit
that the
well.
trick? Because you're afraid that if you do sit still for long enough, that the train will go on without you?
Well, in Hollywood, a lot of it already has, but it's not, I mean, the independent world.
That's the thing, you don't
But this no, yeah. Well, that's why the independent world's doing really so well right now. I mean, none of the studios wanted God's Not Dead, and they kind of blew it, you know. It was offered to
the
them.
films that have impact, there's always that line, and
Yeah.
hey, none of the studios wanted it. Everybody passed on it. So that's not the.
They're afraid to do. That's why they constantly do remakes of things that we know. This nostalgic value. That's why they want to do Leave It to Beaver and Bewitched and things like that. To drag in the people that grew up with that, and they'll bring their kids with them. They're afraid to take those chances. But you know, they've hit some of these movies that really haven't done that well this year, and they put big money in them, and they just didn't go anywhere. So it is what it is.
We got a couple more over here.
All right.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
I was wondering how it was to film the Andromeda show when you were flying the ship.
Yeah, this is funny. It was owned by the Tribune Company out of Chicago. Owned my show. They also owned Mutant X. They had Beastmaster as well. They actually sent these guys out there. You look at the ship and it's got all these panels and it's got all these buttons and it's got these guys. I don't know what they gave these guys. They made them assign each button to something for the ship, whether it's waist control or, you know, beam me up, Scotty, whatever the hell it was. And these guys got this book this thick, and they gave it to all these actors to like memorize. We always looked at it and screw that. We're on the ship, we're just going stuff. You know, as long as you're moving around, you look like you're doing something. And that's just, I thought, really? They're spending this kind of money, you must work for the government. What a total waste of time. I just thought, you know, let's see how shrimp look on a wheel of fortune, you know. I mean, it was just strange. And so we just got rid of that. So, you know, they built great sets. I mean, the Andromeda set was cool, and the Eureka Mara ship was awesome. And it really just comes on the blocking, whatever they write. I mean, it wasn't really, we had a lot of jokes down too. Gordon Woolbey, that played Harper, is the Northern Hemisphere's version of Michael Hurst. He used to say if they met each other that things would implode or something, you know, because they're both like this tall and both hyper and they're both really smart guys and they're both very funny. It reminds me, I can't remember the name of the cartoons, not during the Tom and Jerry era when it's remember the big bulldog and he's got the little Jack Russell jumping around him? It's like that, because I thought like, I'm that guy who's going to calm down. You know, they're bouncing around me. It's that the old bull and the new bull joke, and I'm not going to say that. Some guys might know that here, but there's a mixed audience. But it's, but you know, anyway, I digress.
Last one over here, make a good one.
Okay, hi. Oh no, that's not a question. Okay. I know you're super athletic and have played tons of sports. I just wondered if you had any pro or college teams that like can't miss, that you have to either, you know, TiVo or watch any games, any special teams near and dear to your heart.
I grew up in Minnesota. I'll always be a Vikings fan. I'll always be a Vikings fan. But this is weird. I'm not just saying that because we're in Dallas. I always did like the Cowboys too. I did. My parents hated that I did. So I'm in 6th grade, you know, but I did. You know, I follow the Lakers. I mean, the reason I follow the Lakers is because, here's a trivia question, most people don't realize, the Lakers are from Minnesota. They're not from LA. How many lakes are there in LA? Minnesota's land 10,000 lakes. They were the Minneapolis Lakers. And they actually won 5 NBA championships in the 50s before they took off in 58 to become the LA Lakers. So my dad always watched them, and as a kid growing up in the 60s, 70s, that's when I like the Lakers. I've always liked them, but I don't even go to any games on it now because where I live, it's a 40-mile drive, but LA traffic, it takes 2 hours, 2.5 hours to do 40 miles. I don't care anymore. I have better things to do with my time.
When are you even in LA? You're
Oh yeah, I know.
in Anzad, you're in Crete.
I know. It's
There's
true.
Bora Bora shooting some
I know.
jets.
I'm going to Bora Bora later. I am doing a charity event down there in December. I am. And they're a techno family, which is really cool.
That's that's a heck of a gig, and
It's, you get it, it's a good gig.
a great career. I'm looking forward to the next stage of it because your next 20 years apparently are planned out. So it's a pleasure sharing that with you. It's a pleasure having you here. Kevin Sorbo.
Thank you. I see that there. Right here, what I said.
He'll be signing for about another 30 minutes at his table. Please head over there and see him. And after you do that, we'll see you guys at table. We're tapping with your donations for the North Texas Food Bank.